not sure how Little Debbie does it, but she makes the most delicious oatmeal cream pies. But they're also 52 grams of carbs and half of that is sugar. I found a sugar-free solution that is almost zero carbs. It still has that iconic oat and molasses flavor, all while keeping the cookies soft and chewy. Starting with our wet ingredients, first add 1 cup of unsalted softened butter to a large bowl. Instead of sugar, we're adding 2 types of sugar-free sweeteners. The first is a brown sugar alternative. You'll need 3/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar substitute, so make sure you use one that's moist and measures cup for cup with brown sugar. I'll have some of my favorites listed down below in the description box. Then 1/3 cup of granulated sugar-free sweetener. Cream this together with an electric mixer for a few minutes until it's fluffy. Little Debbie cakes have a hint of molasses flavor in the cookie, and for that I have 2 options. You could add a tablespoon of real molasses. It does have some sugar in it, but it's also loaded with a lot of nutrients and minerals. The solution I'm using is a sugar-free option, and that's to use molasses flavor extract. You get the flavor of molasses, but without the carbs. After the addition of 2 eggs, beat this until combined. Now the dry ingredients is where this gets interesting, because you might be wondering how I'm going to make a low-carb oatmeal cookie when a cup of dry oats has around 55 carbs in it. I'll show you how in just a sec, but first let's add in 3 cups of almond flour. Then to help give these cookies that oat flavor without the carbs, add in 1/3 cup of oat fiber. So no, we're not actually adding rolled oats or even oat flour. Oat fiber is an insoluble fiber that's made from finely ground oat husks, so it's actually 0 net carbs. To help puff up our cookies, add in 1 teaspoon of baking soda, then salt and cinnamon. Many low-carb cookies can be dense since they're gluten-free, but using oat fiber is a way to add a better crumb texture without having to resort to zero-carb gluten flours like Vital Wheat Protein. Slowly add in the dry ingredients into the wet while mixing. And I hope you have better electric mixer skills than me, because I was flicking this batter everywhere. After it's combined and you do a quick wipe down, it's time to bake the cookies. Since we're making sandwich cookies, it's important to make sure that they're the same size. So that's why I like to use a cookie scoop. This is a 1-inch cookie scoop. Space them about 1.5 inches apart on the baking sheet. They will spread a bit. And just for reference, I use a 1/4 baking sheet when I film my videos, so that's why you only see 6 cookies on here. Just know that in real life, I actually use a full-size baking sheet and can fit 12. It's just all for YouTube. It's all for looks. These will go into the oven at 325 degrees for 9 to 10 minutes. While those are baking, I'm gonna make my afternoon superfood pick-me-up that I have been enjoying this summer. It's a s'mores iced latte, and it's really easy to make using Cacao Bliss from Earth Echo, who is my sponsor for today's video. Start with the ice, then pour in coffee or espresso. And I have a double shot of espresso going in here because I stayed up past midnight binge watching the show Hijack on Apple TV. It's a good one. For the chocolate, I use a scoop of Cacao Bliss by Earth Echo. This is a raw cacao powder blend that's lightly sweetened and contains superfoods like cinnamon, turmeric, lucuma, MCT oil, and Himalayan salt. To make this a s'mores latte, I like to add in a few drops of toasted marshmallow flavoring. Not only am I getting the delicious chocolate flavor from Cacao Bliss, but these superfoods help with inflammation, they help boost immunity, help with focus, brain health, and give me lots of energy. Then top it off with your favorite creamer, nut milk, hemp milk, or whatever milk you want to use. If you want to try Cacao Bliss, go to earthechofoods.com/ketofocus and use my code KetoFocus to save 15% off your order. I'll have it linked down below in the description box too. It's time to pull these cookies out. They might look a little underdone, especially when you try and touch them, but they will continue to bake as they cool on the tray. Once they're cool enough to slide a spatula underneath, you can transfer them to a cooling rack. They'll still be delicate, but they'll continue to firm up once they cool completely, and you can handle them and pick them up just fine. To match the cream filling of the oatmeal pie, I have a few tricks up my sleeve on how to mimic the flavor, but still keep it low carb. Starting with the unsalted butter, cream that until it's light and fluffy, then mix in a powdered sugar-free sweetener. One of the issues I have with some of the powdered sugar-free sweeteners that are on the market is that they can be sickeningly sweet. I'll have the brand that I use down below in the description box because it's not quite as sweet, but I also like to do something different to this cream frosting to help negate that sickeningly sweet flavor. Now, I did decide to double this recipe at the last minute because I was afraid I wasn't gonna have enough cream filling for these oatmeal pies. So that's why I'm adding another stick of butter here, but it actually turned out that I had plenty, so you really don't have to double it and just stick with the recipe as I have written on my website, KetoFocus.com. Unless you like a lot of filling, then double it. The other trick I use to help combat that overly sweet flavor from a sugar-free sweetener, as well as it helps with texture, is to add a little bit of oat fiber. It really helps to mellow out the flavor, plus I think it pairs well with our oatmeal cookies, well, because it's oat flavored. You'll also need some cream or a splash of nut milk to thin out the frosting a bit. And for flavor, add in vanilla extract, and I like to add in that toasted marshmallow flavoring too, because I always thought that the cream filling of these oatmeal pies had a hint of marshmallow flavoring. I don't know if that's just me, but we're adding it. Once that's mixed, add it to a piping bag and we'll get to piping. You can do the 4 dots like Little Debbie does it, or just pipe on a swirl. These cookies stay soft and chewy even over the course of the next couple of days, and you'll be delighted on how much they remind you of the real thing. If you love copycat recipes like this one and want to learn how to make some more keto or low carb copycats, like how to make keto Doritos or Crunchwrap, just click right here.